What if the most dangerous man in a room was also the most charming? What if the person everyone trusted, the one with the bright smile, the sharp wit, the law school ambitions, was secretly something else entirely? Ted Bundy didn't look like a monster, that was the point.
One of the more bizarre chapters in recent American criminal history has come to an end. The end for Ted Bundy, a 42-year-old killer who left a trail of at least 20 murders from one end of the country to the other, came in the electric chair of Florida State Prison, an execution ordered after state and federal appeals were exhausted, an execution that set off cheering from those who had called for Bundy's death.
And that is exactly why, decades after his execution, the world still can't stop talking about him. Today, we're going deep. Not just into the crimes, but into the mind. Who was Ted Bundy? What made him? And what does the psychology behind one of America's most infamous serial killers tell us about human nature itself? Theodore Robert Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. From the very beginning, his life was wrapped in secrets.
What is your name, please?
Louise Bundy.
And what is your address?
I live in Tacoma, Washington.
And do you have any children?
Now settle down, Mother. We haven't lost a mother in a long time, so just don't be nervous, okay? Okay, go ahead.
Do you have any children, Mrs. Bundy?
Yes, I have 5 children.
And who is your oldest child?
My oldest child is Ted.
When was Ted born?
November 24th, 1946.
His mother, Eleanor, was unmarried, a significant social stigma at the time. And for years, Ted was raised believing his grandparents were his parents, and his mother was his sister. Think about that. His entire early identity was built on a lie. He grew up in a working-class household, by most accounts a quiet, seemingly normal kid. Teachers liked him, neighbors liked him. He was described as bright, ambitious, even charismatic. He attended the University of Washington, studied psychology, ironic, we know, and later gained admission to law school. On paper, Ted Bundy was a success story in the making, but beneath that polished surface, something was deeply, terribly wrong. Bundy later described his childhood as lonely, his sense of self as hollow. He struggled with feelings of inadequacy and a fixation on violent pornography that began in his teenage years. Psychologists who interviewed him over the years believe these early obsessions became the seeds of something catastrophic. Between 1974 and 1978, Ted Bundy launched a killing spree that spanned multiple states: Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Florida. He confessed to 30 murders before his execution, but investigators and criminal profilers believe the real number could be significantly higher. Some estimates go beyond 100. We may never know the full truth because Bundy took many of his secrets to the grave. His method was as calculated as it was terrifying. He used his looks and charm to gain the trust of his victims, most of them young women with long, dark hair parted in the middle. He would sometimes wear a fake cast or pretend to need help to lower their guard. He abducted victims in broad daylight. He returned to crime scenes. He crossed state lines to avoid jurisdiction. He was, by every clinical definition, a predatory psychopath operating with terrifying precision. In 1975, he was arrested in Utah on a minor traffic violation, and the walls slowly began to close in. Evidence connected him to disappearances. He was extradited to Colorado, and then he escaped. Twice. His second escape in December 1977 led to his most violent and frenzied period. In January 1978, he attacked students at Florida State University's Chi Omega sorority house, killing 2 women and brutally assaulting 2 others, all within 15 minutes. Weeks later, he murdered a 12-year-old girl named Kimberly Leach. It was his undoing. He was captured in February 1978, never to taste freedom again. Here's where things get even stranger. Ted Bundy chose to represent himself during his trials, and he did so with a confidence, what some would say arrogance, that shocked the courtroom and captivated the media. He cross-examined witnesses, he argued legal points, he flirted with jurors, he gave interviews. The cameras were allowed in the courtroom, a first for Florida, and Bundy seemed to relish the spotlight. He was performing, and America was watching. He was convicted of the Chi Omega murders in 1979 and sentenced to death. Throughout the proceedings, he maintained this bizarre duality that the articulate, even likable defendant on one hand, and the brutal killer the evidence described on the other. People in the courtroom, journalists, even some prison staff, many admitted they found him oddly compelling. That was his greatest weapon, and it never stopped working. He married a woman named Carol Ann Boone while on trial.
Carol, do you want to marry me? Yes. And I want to marry you?
Yes.
And I do want to marry you.
Literally proposed to her in the middle of the courtroom, exploiting a legal loophole to make it official. They had a child while he was on death row. Even behind bars, Bundy's manipulation had no off switch. So what was Ted Bundy, psychologically speaking? Clinicians and forensic psychologists have largely classified him as a psychopath, or using modern diagnostic language, someone with antisocial personality disorder with strong narcissistic traits. He had no genuine empathy. He experienced other people not as human beings, but as objects. But what makes Bundy uniquely disturbing is the gap, the terrifying chasm between how he appeared and what he actually was. Most people imagine dangerous individuals to look dangerous. Bundy shattered that assumption. He was proof that evil doesn't announce itself. It smiles, it holds doors open. It remembers your name. FBI agent William Hagmeyer, who spent years interviewing Bundy, said that beneath the charm was a profound emptiness. Bundy himself admitted that he felt like a vampire, a creature that could mimic human behavior perfectly without ever actually feeling it. He spoke about himself in the third person during confessions. He intellectualized his crimes.
Sure, I get angry. I get very, very angry and indignant. I don't like being locked up for something I didn't do, and I don't like my liberty taken away, and I don't like being treated like an animal, and I don't like people walking around and ogling me like I'm some sort of weirdo, because I'm not.
And in his final interview, just hours before his execution, he blamed violent pornography for fueling his fantasies, a claim many psychologists found partially credible, though wildly insufficient as an explanation. The truth is, there is no single cause, no one thing that made Ted Bundy. It was a convergence. Unstable early identity, possible genetic predisposition, environmental influences, and a set of dark fantasies he chose to feed rather than fight.
On this day in history, January 24th, 1989, serial killer Ted Bundy was executed at a Florida state prison.
Ted Bundy was executed on January 24th, 1989. Crowds gathered outside the prison. Some cheered, some held signs. America let out a collective exhale. And then we kept talking about him. Documentaries, podcasts, Netflix films, books, university criminology courses. His name never fades. Why? Because Bundy represents one of our deepest fears, that danger can be indistinguishable from normalcy, that the monsters in real life don't look like the ones in movies, that our instincts, our trust, our social contracts, all of it can be exploited. Studying him isn't about glorifying him. It's about understanding. It's about asking, how do we recognize the warning signs? How do we protect ourselves? How does a society produce someone like this, and how do we stop it from happening again? That's the real reason Ted Bundy still matters. Not because of who he was, but because of what he reveals about all of us. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. We cover true crime psychology, criminal minds, and the darkest chapters of human history every week. And drop a comment. What aspect of Ted Bundy's psychology do you find most chilling? I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay safe,